I don't think the mayor understands what's going to happen on November 1st. There is going to be a catastrophic manpower, staffing shortage. I was told not to use the word manpower. Staffing shortage if 3,500 firefighters that are currently unvaccinated are told to not go to work. We've been scraping together people to show up for work for the last several months just to keep firehouses open. You're going to see dozens and dozens of firehouses closed. You're going to see response times climb. It is inevitable. Lives are going to be lost. That is irrefutable.
Did you hear what the fire department of New York's union president just said? That number he spit out? 3,500, 3,500 they've got to fill quickly over vaccine mandates. The New York Post has published an op-ed which says a police exodus would be catastrophic, of epic and bloody proportions. Fewer cops will certainly mean more killing, and remember, not one police officer was vaccinated before this year. They were among the few professionals who kept coming to work to protect the public at great personal risk. Their reward, forced vaccination on pain of dismissal. Jason Rantz is in Seattle now, radio talk show host. You are also seeing this issue play out in real time. Your take on what New York's about to face. And it affects, what, there are 8+ million people in this metro area.
Yeah, what you guys are going to face is pretty straightforward, actually. Your city will be more dangerous than it was before, which for New York City is a pretty frightening thought. The NYPD will be understaffed, and they're going to do what's happening here in Seattle, which is lean on non-patrol officers to take those roles.
What does that look like?
And you can do that for a while. Well, what it looks like is a detective who's working on a murder case is no longer working on that murder case, or a domestic violence unit officer gets to respond to 911 calls. That means that the criminals that they're trying to nab on previous crimes are still out there recommitting. Yeah. And then, of course, on the firefighting side, you lose all those firefighters. Understand that, for the most part, these shifts are 24 hours. So what they're going to do is lean on overtime, which, number one, is incredibly expensive. Number two, the burnout rate is very, very high.
Absolutely.
You can't keep working 24-hour shifts, right, over and over and over again. So to say that this is catastrophic, of bloody, epic proportions, is possibly an understatement with what New York is about to experience.
Well, this is what we're experiencing right now. The pictures on the left of your screen are live, and the FDNY, the Fire Department of New York, is strong today in the streets of New York with their message. And their message has to do with, and you know, we should point out, many of these people are vaccinated. This is not about whether or not they want to get the vaccine. This is more about whether or not they want to be told that their own immunity might not count, since many of them worked without a vaccine and put their lives on the line. And they don't, that's not even part of the conversation. Well, you almost gave up your life. You had COVID. You lost some. You came back. Now you're here, and we want you to do what we say. So says the mayor of New York. And look, that's what the president of the United States is saying, too. They're saying so much, they're just not listening. Jason, as we watch the FDNY protest in the streets of New York, this is on the heels of seeing people in Brooklyn. I mean, when you lose Brooklyn, when you lose New York, Democratic leadership, what does this tell you?
Yeah, it tells you that they're not really caring about the community. They are ideologues who believe in vaccination at all costs. But to your point, number one, a lot of these folks are vaccinated. They're just standing up for bodily and medical autonomy. But number two, there is such a thing called natural immunity. I know the Biden administration and Dr. Anthony Fauci want to pretend it doesn't exist and not have any conversations about what arguably is probably the second most important thing to be talking about during this pandemic outside of the vaccines. And instead of actually having those conversations, they try to bully you, shout you down, smear you as anti-vax. It's a lazy smear meant to get people to just simply acquiesce. And I'm glad that people are pushing back. I am not anti-vax. You are not anti-vax. I am vaccinated. I think there's a good argument to be made for most people to get the vaccine if they want it in consultation with their doctors. It's not anti-vax to be anti-mandate. It's pro-freedom to be anti-mandate. And I think that's the leading issue here, whether we're talking about New York City or Chicago, San Francisco, or Seattle. That's what we're hearing on the ground. This is a slippery slope, because let's say you get to the 100% vaccination rate that they want. Okay, well, if COVID doesn't go away, and we know it's not going to go away after that, Well, then what will they demand? As a condition of employment, what will they demand? Why are we okay with that?
Yeah, these are all excellent questions. And then while we watch something that the president really triggered with his own flip-flop on the issue of vaccine mandates and with the threats of companies as small as those with 100 employees having to put this in place, now we're seeing it feather out across the nation. You know what we're not seeing, and again I say it, is the President of the United States, because the longer he makes the nation wait, it's building behind the scenes for him. An issue just like this, Jason Rantz, everything starts to percolate in his absence. Jason, thank you very much.